Why getting your injection pump rebuilt is only half the problem. Injection pump rebuilds on gasoline fuel injected Mercedes are a very necessary but also very frustrating endeavor and undertaking. And there are a couple of reasons why this is. The injection pumps on these cars are often rebuilt by third or fourth parties. They're not Bosch, they're not necessarily Bosch trained. The pump parts aren't new. They're all 50 years old. Some of the parts we need we can't get, so they have to be reconditioned, or we just have to live with them. And some of the pumps even, how should I say this? Some of the pumps get repaired when they shouldn't even be repaired. Then there's this entire compounded problem of what happens when you put a pump back in the car and you want everything to work like it's supposed to. What are some of the things that we have to do? So let's talk about some of the grounds for a pump rebuild, when to send your pump back, and what adjustments you're going to have to do as the owner of the car. So when it's time for a pump rebuild is pretty easy. If the car's been sitting for a long time, or if it's had a rusty fuel system, or if the pump has been rebuilt and the car just doesn't run right, you get a lot of black smoke, you get difficulty starting, you get a really rough idle, and they're all tied to fuel system issues that you've differentiated using a CO meter, or at least you've ruled out any ignition problems and made sure that the injection pump timing was good, then it might be time to get a pump rebuilt, particularly if they've been sitting for a long time. Now, there aren't many pump rebuilders out there. There's Yankee Diesel, which is my favorite. You're going to need 6 to 8 months, if not longer, before Tom can get to your pump. There's H&R Injection, which my friend Uvi says they're pretty good. So I guess if they're good, they're okay, There's Pacific Fuel Injection, which again, good luck. You're going to be waiting till next Christmas. And then there's International Fuel Injection, Boca Raton, and that's who we use. And one of the reasons I use International Fuel Injection is because their turnaround time is exceptionally good. That means that I could put the pump on the car and spend some time calibrating it, but I know that all the basic settings are right. Not an easy thing to deal with, but not the worst thing in the world. As far as other pump builders go, I'm not aware of any, but oh yeah, and then there's Black Forest. I think Black Forest is still in the pump business, and I've never heard anything bad about Black Forest's work. It's just geographically they're not that close to us, but I wouldn't discourage anybody from going there. If other people have anything else to say, let me know. But Black Forest is one of those places that sort of saw a need and decided that they were going to roll up their sleeves and get to work. Now, one of the biggest misconceptions about pump rebuilding is that when you get the pump back, it's all dialed in and ready to go. And that is never, ever, ever the case. And this is the case. This is why for several reasons. The first reason is because, number one, most pump rebuilders do not run hot water through the pump thermostat to heat up the injection pump thermostat on the top of the pump to see how the mixture charts as the pump warms up. And we're not talking about running 180 degree water through there for 5 minutes. That sucker needs to be hot water thumping through there for 30 minutes. And I like the place that we use, I don't think they do that. Now, there are ways around this. You take the thermostat on, you take the whole thermostat housing on or off or whatever and try to use a mechanical simulation to to simulate the roughly 4 meters of movement that the thermostat does, but there are always going to be some discrepancies. The other problem that we run into when we put the pumps in the cars, we often find they're too lean, and different engines have different requirements. And if you've rebuilt an engine, guess what? You're going to have to go back through and recalibrate that engine later. We find that a lot of the pumps come back from the pump shops too lean. Now, Tom at Yankee Diesel did something really special about this. And I think that Tom was really good about recording the pre-test values of each pump. So I've heard, and to an extent I've observed, but I've heard that most of Tom's pumps don't need nearly as much calibration, which is why I like him the most. But, you know, we've had some pumps in international fuel injection that came back that worked pretty well within their limits, and we had to do minimal adjustment on them. And then other ones, whether they came from international fuel injection or from Pacific or from wherever, we often had to pull them out, assess them, make a call about whether we should send them out and get them sent back, and then the car seems to run different. We have to go through the whole tuning and calibration phase of the pump again. Often these pumps have stuck delivery valves, and stuck delivery valves can lead to lean running and eventually cylinder failure. So that's one of the reasons to send your pump out if your pump has not been in operation for a long time. I don't suggest getting the outside of your pump painted or anything. Just clean it up, run it into the bench, put it back on. You do your own plating, because a lot of these places will spray paint parts gold. I don't like that. I'd rather look at something that's crusty rather than something that's been painted. Now, here are the adjustments. We talked a little bit about what goes wrong with the pump, where to send the pump. We're going to talk about some of the adjustments that you're going to have to do. And we have other videos on these, particularly my video that I did with MBCA. You will have to adjust the full range mixture screw. If you have a pump with a starting solenoid, which is 69 or earlier and is the upper solenoid, you will have to adjust the starting solenoid. If you adjust it too rich when it's cold, the car probably won't start when it's hot. If you adjust it too lean when it's hot for better hot starting, it probably won't start good cold. So you've got some problems to deal with. A third adjustment is going to be the amount of cold idle the car has, so the number of shims between the thermostat housing and the pump body. The thermostat housing is the thing with the two water lines. If you have a 280 SL or 280 SE or similar car, you know what this is. There's shims in between that housing and the pump body. More shims make it richer when cold. Fewer shims make the pump, the cold starting process leaner. I find the cars run better if you richen the pump rack more and dial in the idle mixture, and then reduce the number of shims between the warm running device and the pump itself. These are the three basic adjustments. On cars with the fuel shutoff solenoid, if you choose to leave it hooked up, you're going to have to adjust that too. We can't even get started there. And then, of course, you're going to have to adjust the idle mixture, which is the little thumb wheel at the back of the pump that you don't touch when running. Anyway, I hope this little insight about injection pumps is helpful to you. You could preserve your injection pump by running a 2% mixture of 2-cycle oil, so you never have to do this. And I hope you never have to do it, because it's a pain. We'll see you in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and thank you to all of our Patreon supporters.